How important is the Old Testament for Christians today? The Bible as a whole is made up of 73 books. Out of those 73 books, 46 come from the Old Testament, and only 27 from the New. That means the first 2/3 of the Bible are taken up by the Old Testament. By numbers alone, we see that the Old Testament is meant as a great table setter for our Holy Scriptures. To be able to better answer this question, we have to look into what the Old Testament contains. It is typically divided up into 3 parts. In its totality, the historical books tell the story of creation and of the nation of Israel. They teach us the law given to the Israelites and the journey of the Israelites to the Promised Land, up until exile. Then there are the books of wisdom, which are beautiful reflections and show the relation God had with humanity. Finally are the books of the prophets. These are writings of people who God inspired and used to communicate with His people. As Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law," which are the first 5 books of the Old Testament, "or the prophets," a third of the books in the Old Testament. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Jesus tells us here not to forget about our fathers, but to keep them in mind as Jesus comes to fulfill what God had started. Remember, Jesus grew up studying these books and learned from a very young age what was contained in the Scriptures. What riches we have in learning about God's interaction with man from the beginning of time. We see purpose in why God created us. We see His love, we see His patience, and we see His mercy upon us. We get to learn from generations upon generations on how we should live our lives and how we can grow closer to Him. The Youth Catechism of the Catholic Church says, "In the books of the Old Covenant, we find an irreplaceable treasure of prayers and wisdom. In particular, the Psalms. They are part of the Church's daily prayer." The Psalms were also part of Jesus' prayer life, as He quotes the Psalms on numerous occasions. The truth of the matter is this: if we are Christians, truly striving to know God's love, we need to come to the realization that the Old Testament prefigures the New Testament, and that the New Testament fulfills the promises of the Old.